Welcome to Zen Game, where we go inside the world of college sports. I'm at Texas State with two legends from the Bobcats softball team of Sarah Vanderford and Jessica Mullins. It is awesome having you guys here today, and it's an honor to interview you after such successful careers.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
What's it like now as the season starts and you really realize that I'm not suiting up this year?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. It's like, opening day was kind of hard being on the other side, but I think it's kind of a new perspective, and I've found ways that still kind of stay around the program and help out. So it's been fun. It's been different, and I also kind of like getting to pick Coach Woodard's brain about why that coaching decision, because that's something as an athlete you can't really ask. So now it's been interesting to hear her reasoning with a lot of things.
I agree, it has been fairly hard, but I've also chosen to get a new perspective in the game and just give back to the younger girls that want to be in our spots one day. I'm coaching a 14U team from the Lone Star Softball organization, just very local, girls around the area. Very talented team, super excited to see what they're going to do and how they're going to grow. And just giving lessons on the side. I am applying for nursing schools, so we'll see where I get in and make my decision from there on my future.
And how has coaching kind of shifted your perspective on the game now that you're on the other side?
It's given me a lot of I feel a lot of more respect for those coaches because they have a lot of decisions they have to make. It's not only just in-game decisions, but it's also out of the game. I have to deal with parents. Coach Woodard does not deal with parents at all. But I mean, they're respectful, and just having to formulate the right words to get a player to learn, especially at a 14U level, and help them understand, like, they're at that point in time where they're growing. They're trying to understand what they want out of the sport and how they learn things. So I think it's actually really cool and really fun to do, and just opened my eyes a little bit.
Do you have a lot of players on the team that watched you play?
Pretty much every single one of them.
That's a really cool thing, is you're able to inspire.
Yeah, I like to remind them, hey, like, I'm your coach now. Like, I'm not that player that I was on the field. I still like to instill that energy in them, but it's not like I don't want them to think of me as still their idol. Well, in a way, but I want them to just learn from me. That's pretty much it.
How has this year been? Do you guys watch most of the games? Do you guys come to most of the games? Are you watching them on kind of streaming, a combination? What's kind of your interaction for both of you guys now that you're on the other side?
For me, it's usually watching, or I actually started calling some games on ESPN Plus. So that's been fun. It's been, I think, so I also coach a 12s Bombers team. And so along with that, I think speaking from a commentating standpoint, it's another way to teach people what I got taught, because as I tell the 12s and as I say on ESPN, like, I didn't learn a lot of these things until I was 22. So if I can help you at 12, or parents at 45 and they think their kid is doing something wrong, it's like that's not always the case. And so I think being able to show people that the outcomes aren't always what makes you successful or not is probably the biggest way that I've learned to give back.
How's commentating? Like, it's something I've always.
She's really good at it.
It's something I've always wanted to do. I've never gotten to call a game. I have to imagine it's just a really fun perspective, because you have to have that feeling kind of, right, that you're also impacting the way other people are seeing the
Yeah,
sport you
and
love so much.
I think the first game I called, that wasn't the case, and I was kind of freaking out, just because it's like, whenever I watch games, I know what I think in my head, and 9 times out of 10, I probably shouldn't say that out loud. So it's finding a way to explain it. One, not being biased, which is hard because I did spend 5 years here, and probably the best 5 years of my life so far. So it is hard in that aspect. But I was talking to my mom the other day, and I was like, if I just kind of act like I'm talking to my 12-year-olds and like explaining to them, and they're the ones sitting next to me, like, that's helped very much. And so it really is just like, it's talking about something that I love. And so I think that whenever I could turn it into that aspect, it's flowed a lot better. And also Brant does a great job of setting me up, making sure I'm prepared, things like that. So I think having him and kind of already having a relationship with him just from my career was why I've been kind of successful.
What was the path here? Like, how did both you guys find yourself in San Marcos?
So I have a brother, and we're 15 and a half years apart. And he came here, he started here when it was Southwest Texas. And back then, this campus did not look like this. There was not much around. And I'm a big river girl, rivers, lakes, all the things. And so San Marcos had my heart from a young age. It wasn't till later that I would figure out that Texas State softball also had my heart. But that's really what got me started on this journey. And then along the way, it was, hey, we're going to San Marcos for a week and we're going to stay with your brother and there's a softball camp. Do you want to go? And I was like, okay, yeah, like let's do it, whatever. And so I really liked it. And then I, Coach Woodard, honestly, I think from the first time I met her, I'm pretty sure I walked back to my car with my mom and I was like, Mom, she reminds me of my junior high coach, and my junior high coach is probably one of my biggest role models I've ever had. And so I was like, I want to play for her. Like that's the one. That's the one I want to play for. And so that was probably early on. And then as time went on, I just continued coming to camps, and every time I would come, there would be, so the way camp is set up is like current players help. And so the current players were always so nice and welcoming and family and homey, and overall, I just feel like that's like the feel of San Marcos. And so I think it started San Marcos, but I think it ended Texas State softball.
Yeah, I was kind of on the same path. Didn't really know exactly what I was doing. I wasn't taught on the whole recruitment process. I was on a really high select ball team that basically everyone was committed to all these different colleges, LSU, Florida, like maybe not Florida, but just big colleges in general. And this was, so the rule change didn't really affect me where like you had to commit your junior at like my age was fine. And so I just kind of rolled right on through. I felt like something was wrong because all these people around me were getting committed. And I was just that lone little wolf, like all by myself. And I was still working my butt off every single day to try to get a commitment or at least get some looks. And I had actually came to college camps here at Texas State. I think one of the things that stood out to them is I would write them handwritten letters. So not the whole email things. I didn't really like digital stuff, still don't like digital stuff. And so I would write them handwritten letters, and Coach O, Kat Osterman, she still remembers till this day. I remember her calling one of our games my freshman or sophomore year, and she had stated, yeah, I remember whenever Mullins used to write handwritten letters to us. So that was the thing that stuck out to them the most, but I was just trying anything and everything to just get some eyes on me. Didn't really have a dream college. I think that was one of the weird things about me. I was just going to be happy wherever my feet were. And I think that's what created my success here and led me to stay here for 4 years, because you really are supposed to be happy where your feet are. If you can't create that environment for yourself to just be overall satisfied with what you're doing, obviously there are outside factors that are going to try to affect that. But if you can't be satisfied with where you are, then you need to look inward and less outward. I ended up committing here, came here for an unofficial visit. I think it was my unofficial. And I got through the whole morning, saw the campus, came to practice, and in the middle of practice, my dad was just walking around doing who knows what. And I went up to my dad, and I haven't even talked about money yet. And I said, Dad, this is my home. This is where I'm supposed to be. I just loved it here. And so from that point on, I just fell in love with the campus day by day, and the rest is history.
And you're still here, which speaks to how much you love this city.
Yes, absolutely, both of us.
I think that's a really special thing in staying connected in different ways as you're moving forward. What advice would you give to people that are in your shoes, that are in the shoes you were in, where they're seeing all the people around them get offers, and this is going to be true for any sport, and maybe they feel like they're working hard or playing phenomenally well, but it's not happening for them the way that it's happening for their peers?
So I'm pretty religious. I feel like God's going to put you in places that you need to be. And if he doesn't create those opportunities for you, don't look at it in a bad way. He just has a different plan for you. Just continue to trust the process and make good choices. I'm a firm believer on every day you are going to be encountering choices, and one's going to take you one path, one's going to take you the other one. So either positive or negative. Always make good choices to make sure that you set yourself up good for the rest of your life. And that just occurs every single day. I still live by that. But I mean, it's the same way with us. Like, did you want to play pro ball, or were you just thinking that it was right after college you were going to be done?
Oh, right after our season was done, I think I cried for like 3 days because
Yeah,
I
I
thought I
did
was never
too.
going to pick up a softball again.
Yeah. But
So,
like God helped, like had the opportunity for her to keep going, and I'm sure that it led to a lot of motivation for the other girls around her to be able to look up to her even more based on the success that she had in college and also in pro ball, because she killed it. So like God's going to hand you opportunities. It just depends on what you choose.
And you have to do when you got to play pro. You got to play pro on your home field.
yeah.
We both did. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an incredible thing. Not only did you not know that opportunity was going to come, but you got to do it exactly, both you guys, in the place where you had so many incredible memories.
I think that's what made it so bittersweet. And I mean, after my last professional game, I knew what path I was going to be on. And so I felt like that was kind of the last time I was going to be in a uniform. Of course, not in the Texas State uniform, but in the smoke uniform. And I sat out in center field for a little while, just kind of taking in the moment that like I was a WPF champion, and that was just, it was very awesome. It was really cool. And I was really glad that I got to experience it. But I think what broke my heart the most was not just leaving the game, because I knew that I was always going to be involved in the game, but leaving that field and officially not being able to play on that field, because it just held so many memories. I mean, we were conference champions, and I think that was probably one of my favorite days here in San Marcos, and just on that field. Like, we felt all the love throughout the community, throughout campus, and we all just like shared that celebration, and it was so bittersweet. I mean, I cried and I laughed, and we did.
Jumped in the
Jumped
river.
in the river. That was so fun. I mean, like, and we were supposed to graduate that day. Like, my graduation was set for like 10 a.m., I think. And I was like, sorry, nope, got a ball game to play. Like, what's new? You miss all of these opportunities whenever you're younger to, like, you miss out on birthday parties, sleepovers, just all these different events. And I'm like, okay, well, all of those events were preparing for me to miss my own graduation, but hey, there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
It's kind of symbolic, right? Because I mean, probably winning the conference championship was the graduation for
It was.
both you guys. In a lot of ways, that's what you worked. When you came here, that was the goal. And to have that opportunity to win it, I just can't imagine how much that meant.
It meant the world.
Was there any text messages or calls from former teammates that year when you won the conference championship that were especially impactful?
Oh, yeah, all of them. Haley McKay would be the first to tell me anything at all. And congratulations. Hey, you messed up. Hey, I miss you. Just anything. She's been in my corner probably since day one, and day one I didn't know that, but 4 years later I did. And so she was probably the constant through it all. And then, I mean, the rest of them you're looking at, like Jess, JJ, Anna, Tori, Carmen, Kat, all of those girls, I wouldn't have rather done that with anybody else. And so Piper, Hannah, who I never thought I was going to be friends with, like, ended up being some of my best friends. And so it really was that group of girls. And I don't know if it's because we played together twice. Like, we had the exact same team from junior year to senior year. No one left, no one quit. Everyone came back, all of those things. And so it was like, okay, this is the group you're doing this with. And then you have the 9 seniors who I think we would all say we would do absolutely anything
We
for.
would.
So by the time we were done, early days, I'm not sure, but by the time we were done, it was us.
Believe us, we've butted heads. I mean, we've butted heads before, literally, because I think we were both just such high functioning athletes, and we're such leaders on our own that we had to learn to work together.
Yeah.
And understand, like, hey, we both want the same thing, so stop being like I know for myself, I was like, hey, stop being a butthole, just like, just understand, like, she wants to win too. And I think once we finally got that figured out, we clicked just like this. going back to what she was saying about Haley McKay, I think Haley McKay was the first person, I remember it like it was yesterday. I came over to her house one night because she was like, "Hey, you want to come have tacos?" And I was like, "Sure, I'm just a little freshman, living in the dorms, and
Please cook me dinner.
yes, please, I'm starving." And so I went over and I had tacos with her, and we had a conversation, and she was just catching up with me. And she was the first person that told me that she believed that I could become a impactful player and leader on this squad, on this campus and in this program. And to this day, I owe a lot to her because she never gave up on me, always believed in me. I still know that if I needed to text her or call her or contact her about anything, she would be there. And I think she's like that for every girl on this team. I don't think that she would bat an eye if someone needed her.
What did that mean to you to have that first person say that?
It got me a little emotional because I'm not very good with relationships, just the way that I was raised. I just never got good with friendships, relationships. I was a good teammate. I knew I was a good teammate, but I didn't really understand how people were affected by maybe me not thinking about what I'm saying or some of my actions. Like I just didn't understand that because I was very confident and I knew my abilities. And so I had doubts even as a freshman. As a freshman, you're always going to have doubts. But that's the beauty of being a freshman is you have to be able to overcome those. And so for her to say that to me, it opened doors for me. It opened my eyes and helped me understand like, hey, I could actually do this. Like I could actually be a leader in this program, and everything there was just uphill.
Coach Woodard, do you guys have any individual stories or fun stories, kind of your favorite moments with her?
It was my junior year. I was going through a really tough time, and this might make me a little emotional, but I fell into a pretty deep stage of depression. There was a lot of my teammates that they didn't know this because I hid it so well. And I didn't understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling because I didn't understand how to endure those emotions. And I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't understand what was going on at that point. So I went up into Coach Woodard's office and I just asked for help. And from that point on, I think I just got into a different type of relationship with her that I finally understood that she didn't really care if I did play at that point. She cared on if I was okay with myself, and she cared about who I was as a human and not as an athlete. And I think that's what makes this place so special too, is every single person here on this campus. I mean, Kelly Danfus, I know that I could call him up right now, and if I needed help with something, he would be there. And what other university presidents would be able to do that? So there's just so many relationships here that feel like family. And just going back to the family aspect that Sarah said, like Coach Woodard treats every single person that comes into this program like family. Of course, you have to get through the hard. She's gonna be hard. She has to be. She's a coach. But it all depends on what you do with that hard. Are you going to dip down and try to not be seen, or are you going to rise above it? So like I said, it all goes back to the choices. And every choice you make is going to determine your success in this program. And I'm just blessed that Coach Woodard saw me, or I understood that she saw me as a human and not just as an athlete.
I mean, I don't think I have any one story just because I think in 5 years you learn a lot about a person, about a program, about a lot of things. And so I think kind of like just the things that always stuck out the most were nothing about softball. It was how she would make something about softball but turn it around and prepare me for life. Anytime there was adversity or things that I thought were the end of the world, she turned it right around and proved to me that it wasn't. And so I think that's just what I always remember most. And even now, just having her in your corner is something special, because once she's in your corner, she's probably never going to leave. And so knowing that, and knowing that will have her forever, it's just kind of comforting. And also knowing that it is your coach helps, but at the end of the day, like, I think that wasn't on her, that was on me. And so as soon as I had a problem and I knew I had a problem, you best bet I was walking into her office,
Me too.
because like, I have to tell somebody. And so she made it very known that her door was always open. And so I was like, all right, well, if your door's always open and I have no one else to talk to, here goes nothing. Like, hey. And so I think just understanding that she was a person before she was a coach probably led me to the rest of the real life conversations later on in my career, because at first it was just, all right, Sarah, quit being dramatic. Like, we got to figure this out. And then it became, okay, well, 5 years down the road, when this happens, how are you going to handle it? Because it's not like this. And so I think that's kind of what I've taken away most, is just the outside world, the real world, not even softball.
I'm excited to see both of your journeys progress, whether that's on the softball field or off it. And it has been such a pleasure having you on the show today. I'm glad we got to do this.
Me too.
Thank you.
It was fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.